So it looks like we've got lots of excitement about websites from what I can see. We have just a few people on the call today. So if you can go around and just introduce yourself, your name, what organization you're with, we'll spend just a few minutes. I'll kind of call on some people. Joanna, let's start with you.
Okay. I'm Seeds of Strength. It's a women's philanthropic organization, and we have our circle of giving. We have about 179 members, and we pool our funds to help nonprofits here in Georgetown, Texas. And I am the president-elect this year, and I'm really excited with everything we've done this year. We're really making great strides and gaining new members all the time.
Welcome, Joanna. Thanks for being here
Thank
today.
you.
What about Melissa Siegman?
Hi, Melissa Sigmund. I'm with the Georgetown Project here in Georgetown.
Welcome. And Monica?
Hi, my name is Monica Mahoney. I'm with Pathways Youth and Family Services. We are a statewide foster care agency, so we license foster and kinship homes and help with adoption services. And we also have a behavioral health arm, and we have two residential facilities in San Antonio and in the Hill Country. And we've been in Georgetown about a year now. We moved from South Austin up to Georgetown, and I've just been looking for ways to connect. And I'm hearing Seeds of Strength and Georgetown Project. I've been kind of like stalking all you guys lately. So just learning about lots of nonprofits. So, and I'm not super great with emojis, but we have a pretty good website that it looks great and everything. Sometimes I feel like things are hard to find, or maybe it's not intuitive as we want, and I've just been looking for learning opportunities. So thanks for having this and having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. So again, we're My Community Catalyst, formerly known as Interagency Support Council of Eastern Williamson County. My name is Courtney Clark. I'm the executive director. I just started yesterday, actually, but I'm very familiar with the nonprofit space here in Georgetown. I've been working for the last several months with Ray Langlois, helping build supportive community for nonprofits across Williamson County, and now I get to carry out that same vision here at My Community Catalyst. I'm really excited to kind of see how things progress, and as we're moving forward, what we can accomplish here. The Williamson County nonprofits are really interconnected in a very unique way, and it's really beautiful to see the collaboration and the support that we have for each other. So I'm really excited to tap into that and see what's next. So we'll go ahead and get started with Melissa's presentation. I will allow you, hopefully, to share your screen, Melissa.
Okay.
And you can introduce yourself.
Excellent.
Before we do that, did we want to do events?
Oh, yes, you're right.
Anybody have any events?
Sorry. If you have any events for your organization coming up, if you feel free to post those in the chat, or if you have anything that you would like to share, just real quick, you're welcome to do that.
I have something. We have our fall luncheon coming up on October the 15th, and it's on our Facebook page, Seeds of Strength Georgetown, and it's 11 to 1. We come together to celebrate and gain additional members, and we have speaker Consuela, and we'll be having lots of drawings, so come if you can.
And you said that what day is that?
October 15th. It's going to be at the McKinney Center across from the First Methodist Church.
Awesome. Thank you. And if you can send us a flyer, we'll send that out in our email as well.
Okay, great. I'll do that.
We have two events. We have our big soiree, which is our event combined with the Boys and Girls Clubs and the YMCA, and that's on November 15th in the evening. I don't remember the exact start time, but that's all three of us putting on our big gala for the year. And it's I just learned it's like a cowboy casino theme, and I just learned we're gonna actually have like a roper there who's gonna rope people, lasso people for money.
Oh,
So it's pretty interesting. And then we also are going to have, just for us, the Georgetown Project, we are going to have a holiday party, and it's going to have a wreath auction. and the whole community is invited to that. And that one is going to be on Monday, December 1st at the Embry Event Center. So look for more information on that.
Awesome. And if you will do the same, email us those flyers. We'll make sure that we can share that with our network.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I'm ready to throw it to Melissa if anyone has anything else. All right, Melissa. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know I always have lots of questions about websites and have ideas of my own, but I'm never really sure exactly what's best practice. So if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Let me get this screen share going. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
You're
Yes.
good to go, Lisa.
Excellent. Okay. So I am Melissa Eek Taylor. My last name was previously Eek, hence the business name, which I know a lot of people wonder about. So I'm the owner and designer at Eek Media. Today, we're going to explore how nonprofits can transform their websites from basic brochureware into powerful tools for engagement and action by your users. So first, when we get started, we're going to talk about some basic web design terms, and then we're going to talk through the why, how, and the what of your website and the strategies that you can use to turn your site visitors into supporters and activists for your mission. So let's jump in. First, let's just do a quick intro about who I am and what I do. I started my design business back in 1998, if you can believe that. I began doing print design work, and then when the web became popular, I taught myself HTML and started building websites. I work exclusively in WordPress for website design, but I also still do quite a bit of print design and social media design. I work exclusively in WordPress, and I live in a tiny little town called High, Texas, and this is the first time I've ever given a webinar, so please be gentle with me. Okay, so let's start off defining some terms that I'm going to be using throughout the webinar. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page before we get started. First off, what is WordPress? So when building a website, I always use WordPress to create it in. WordPress is a tool that makes it easy to create and manage your website without needing to know how to do any coding. It's a system you can use to build anything from just a basic blog to a full business website using drag and drop features and add-ons that are called plugins. It's a content management system, or a CMS, that uses your content and your coding to create the look and feel of your site. You guys have probably heard of CMSs. Some of the others you may have used are ones like Squarespace, Wix, or maybe even Google Page Builder. So WordPress uses plugins to add functionality to your website, which are small applications that when you install them can add different functionality to your site, like a donation section, an image slider, sign up for an email form, or even bigger functionality like membership sections or shopping carts. What is mission-driven design? That's what we're going to talk about today. Mission-driven design just means that you're going to create your website with a clear focus on what the organization's core mission is. So what you stand for, what you want to achieve with the website, like raising awareness, driving donations, or promoting your cause. So basically it means that your design is purposeful, not just pretty, and that it's there to encourage people to act. So the header of the page, which may sound self-explanatory, but the header is the part that's always at the top of the page. It generally includes the navigation menu on the website, the logo, and any important calls to action like a donate button. It generally appears on every page, is the first thing to load up, and thus it's the first thing that your users will see. And since it's the first thing your users always see on the site, you want to use that prime real estate on your website wisely. And we'll talk about that as we get into this. What is a hero image? So I'm sure you've seen plenty of websites that when they load in, just below the header of the page is usually a larger image. Sometimes it has text superimposed on it with a call to action button. So this hero image is generally used to quickly communicate what your website is about and to set the mood of your website. And CTA, so CTAs are calls to action. So that's basically any link or button on your website that encourages the user to click on a link or fill out a form or perform an action like scrolling through a photo carousel or something like that. SEO, so I'm sure we've all heard this term floating around. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And that is the process of improving your website design and the coding behind it so that it shows up higher in search results on Google and in other search engines. The goal of using good SEO on your website is to help more people find your site when they search for things that are related to your nonprofit or to the content that's on your website. Good SEO brings more visitors to your site organically. And it makes sure that your content shows up when they search for what you offer or the causes that you support. So better SEO equals more visibility, which equals more potential customers or supporters. During this webinar, you will hear me talk about accessibility on a website. This is something that's really kind of come to the forefront lately. Accessibility just means that you build your website to make sure that it can be used by everyone, including people who have disabilities. So accessibility will include things like easy to read text, like large font size and an easy to read font, good color contrast, like using black text on a white background instead of maybe yellow text on a white background, the ability to use keyboard navigation to browse the site, and also screen reader support. Basically, an accessible website is just as easy to use for as many people as possible, no matter what their abilities are. And lastly, what is mobile first design? We're going to talk about this a bit as well. Mobile first design means that you design your website starting with how it looks and works on a smartphone, and then you expand the website for tablets and computers. This is really important because currently, I believe the statistic is that more than 60% of people browse the web exclusively on their phones. So you want to start with mobile to ensure that your site is easy to use, that it loads quickly, and that it looks great on the devices that people use most. Y'all have any questions about any of the terms? I think that's fairly straightforward. So now that we have a baseline for all those terms, I'm going to go through the webinar and show you some things of what we're going to discuss. There are three main components in your website plan. We're going to talk about the why, the how, and the what of your website, and how to use those three things to make your website work for you. We're going to discuss the purpose of building your online community via your website, the strategy of how best to connect with visitors on your site, and then the how you're going to inspire them to act, which then converts them into advocates for your nonprofit. Throughout the webinar, I'm going to be using this nonprofit client that I've worked with for years. They're called the Austin Ed Fund. I'll use them as an example of how you can maximize your outreach and engagement through your website. So basically, the Austin Ed Fund is the fundraising arm of the Austin Independent School District. And since 2013, the Austin Ed Fund has awarded more than $2.5 million to projects that support innovative classroom practices and educational opportunities. This site is focused on receiving donations, promoting events and ticket sales, finding and promoting supporters for their campaigns and events, increasing membership, and receiving contributions to a memorial scholarship fund. So why am I using this website as an example of a great nonprofit site design? Not just because I did it, but because instead of the Austin Ed Fund simply asking for donations and then explaining why you should donate, they focus on the impact of the donations and that impact that those donations make in the classrooms, that they make in the district, and that they make in crisis situations such as COVID. They focus on the impact of the funds. So remember that, because we're going to talk about that a lot as well. So how do they do that? And how do they do it so well? So let's go check that out. First of all, let's take a minute to think about how these next few images make you feel. One thing that the Austin Ed Fund does really well on their website is they use photos of actual students and teachers to tell a story and then to draw the users in. A strong visual can often tell a story and communicate the values and needs of the nonprofit more than words can. So you can definitely tell your story through your photos as well as through your words. I mean, if you just look at these photos, you can see the emotions that they all have and how they kind of draw you into what the website is saying. Using this kind of photo on your website can evoke emotions and help your audience connect with your cause. The eye-catching images tell a story, they build trust, and they inspire action in ways that words alone often can't do. So keep in mind as we go through the presentation, and you'll start to understand how these strong visuals can help tell your story and then encourage your visitors to act. So first, let's start with the why of your website. So everyone says you have to have a website for your nonprofit, but why do you actually need to have one? And it's not just because everybody else has one. You need to know what the real purpose is of your website. So what you want to do is you want to think about how your site is not just a website, but how it is kind of an online community. So creating an online community is essential in building those connections and then in gaining support through those connections. So let's talk about how your website can help you engage with your audience. Building an online community through your website is essential for gaining support and building connections. So to do this, you want to design your website purposefully so that you can engage emotionally with your audience. You want to use your website to engage with your visitors through various things like blog posts, upcoming events, online stories, charts and graphs, case studies, and even like pull quotes and reviews from people who your nonprofit have impacted. Your website is going to help you build credibility and trust for your nonprofit. When people go to a website, they decide in just a few seconds whether or not to stay there. So you want to quickly communicate your purpose with clarity and then try to instill trust in your visitors right away. So I'm sure that all of you have gone to a website at one time or another and came away not feeling so great maybe about the company that was behind it because the design was outdated, or maybe the images didn't load or the links didn't work right. So by keeping your site up to date, having a professional design, keeping it cleanly organized, this helps to build trust with your visitors. And it shows your visitors that your nonprofit is legitimate and trustworthy, that there's someone behind it taking care of, you know, everything behind the scenes and that kind of thing. Your website is also the central hub for your mission and your impact. So your site is the place where you can control the narrative about your nonprofit. It gives you a unique opportunity to share stories, to show impact data, and to tell visitors what you do and why what you do matters. Most other marketing materials you'll create for your nonprofit, like brochures or postcards, are going to be much smaller snapshots of your mission and what you do and how to contact you. So you're not able to get the entire story on there. But on your website, you can really get into the meat of the stories, talk about your impact that you've had, and talk about more complex needs of your community. Your website gives you the opportunity to show multiple examples of your impact through case studies, testimonials, statistics, and that kind of thing. Talking about your mission, your impact, and how it's helped others will inspire your visitor to start to care about your nonprofit, which ultimately is what's going to make them take action. Your website is also the main spot for your visitors to take action and engage with you. So once a visitor is on your site, you want to make it easy for them to make a donation, sign up for your newsletter, purchase tickets to an event, sign up to volunteer, or even just reach out to you to get more information. When your site is well designed, visitors can easily find the information that they need, which then can turn them into supporters, volunteers, and activists. Your website also increases your visibility and your reach. So your website makes your nonprofit more visible to people who may never have heard of you otherwise. I know I had never heard of the Austin Ed Fund until I started working on their site, and through that, learned so much about them. So having a well-built and optimized website helps your site to get found when people are online looking for a cause to support. People often, jump online and do a search when they're feeling compelled to make a difference, whether it's in response to some crisis or a desire to give back during the holidays, or even for a year-end tax break. They're looking for organizations that align with their values, that have a clear mission, and that appear trustworthy and impactful. So if your website doesn't show up in those moments when they're searching, or worse, if it's unclear or outdated, you're going to miss that key opportunity to connect with somebody who is ready to take action. So now that we know the why or the purpose of your website, let's talk about the strategy of your website and how to design your site around that strategy. So how do you draw visitors in and inspire them to interact with your website and then invest in your cause? So you are going to use your site to tell your story and to take your visitors on a journey. So you want to take them on a journey using case studies, videos, statistics, and compelling photos. So let's see how to do that. You want your website to lead people on a journey and guide them through the path of who we are and to how you can help. So you're going to do that through showing case studies, videos, and different types of information. So you want to make sure that your website has clear and consistent messaging, visual appeal and storytelling, a friendly user experience, and accessible design so that it's usable by everyone, that your design is created mobile first, so it's as easy to use on your phone as it is on your desktop, solid SEO practices so that you can be found easily in searches, and compelling links and buttons so it's easy for the visitor to get involved. So let's talk about each of these in a little more detail. All right, let's talk about the messaging on your website first. So clear and concise messaging helps to convey your mission effectively, right? That seems pretty basic. I know when I go to a website though, I never really read all of the content. So I don't know if anybody here has ever read a full page of text on a website. So it can get really overwhelming to see a lot of text just straight down the page. So what you want to do is you want to use concise messaging on your website so that you don't overwhelm the user with long scrolling pages of text. If you can, you want to keep your blocks of text short and scannable, since most people are going to scan the text, not actually read it. You can use introductory text at the start of the page, and then you can link off to more complete pages of text of content that will tell your whole story. So as you can see in this screenshot of the Austin Ed Fund, there are 3 short blocks of text at the top, one for impact in the classroom, one for impact in the district, and one for the crisis support fund. Each one of these has a short, easy to read block of text that then links off to a more complete page that talks about those impacts. If you want to help improve the site's scannability by using a good textual hierarchy, so you want to show information that is most important through the font size and the font color. Using structured text like that helps guide the user's eye through the most important parts of the page. This hierarchy also helps with accessibility because those headers and titles on the page are denoted in screen readers, which can be important for people who may have visual disabilities. You want to also have callouts and graphics to emphasize your point, such as this financial chart that's included on the website. So this graphic tells a really big picture about their financial performance, but in an easy to read format, with eye-catching colors and simple data points. So you'll want to draw the user in with engaging photos like you see here, impactful statements and headlines, and then use easy to find links and calls to action so that they can get involved. So I mentioned textual hierarchy on the previous slide. That's not something that we had in the term, so let me talk about that for a second. So basically, textual hierarchy is the organization of your text on a page through size, weight, color, or spacing to show which information is the most important. It's basically a way to guide the reader through your site by making key points stand out the most on the page. So that way, if the user doesn't read all the text on the page, then at least they're scanning the most important items. So I don't know if when you read this graphic here, did you read it basically in the way that it was set up to? I've seen a couple of these on social media, and it always gets me that I read it exactly the way that it's done. But that's what textual hierarchy is all about. So it helps guide your eye through the text on the page so that you read the most important parts. Because when all of your text looks the same, or if it's all the same size, and there's no textual hierarchy, then everything just kind of looks like noise and the user loses interest really quickly. So you'll also want to use visual appeal and storytelling on your site. Telling an engaging story can help capture your visitors' attention and helps to build a connection with them. So, when a user feels emotionally invested or somehow connected to a cause, they're more likely to support you. To get them emotionally invested, you want to use strong imagery, which we talked about. So as much as you can, you want to use real, emotionally engaging photos that reflect your mission. If you can, try not to use stock photos or use them just as fillers. You want to use call outs like data points or charts to show how donations are used and what their impact was. You can see in the slide here that they have this really nice graphic that talks about the grant program that they have. It talks about what focus areas were impacted, what school levels were impacted, how many projects were awarded. So it shows exactly where and how your donations were used. There are also quotes from supporters and fund recipients. You'll see here there's some red text within this page that talks about, the way that this grant program has helped them. You also want to use case studies and stories about the impact that their contributions made, which helps the user understand, that their donations are really important and what programs their money is going towards. So photos, videos, statistics, call outs, pull quotes, things like that can all help create a picture of how the user's donations are being used and then what the end result is that it helped to build. So one thing that Austin Ed Fund does really well on their website is showing the impact of their donations. And they do this through case studies and stories about the various grants that were awarded to different schools, and then how that money was used to help the students and the teachers. So for this particular grant, which I find fascinating, the school's has a horticulture team. Who knew that? So this grant helped them to expand their mushroom growing program. So apparently they grow gourmet mushrooms for commercial distribution in Austin. I had no idea. So through the program, this school, it's called Clifton School, they've earned a reputation among distributors and chefs in Austin as a reliable, high quality resource for these mushrooms. The students in the program are mostly students with disabilities, all who receive special education services. And you can see here in the slide how they've used images of students using, holding the harvested mushrooms that they've pulled. It's really engaging and draws you in. I found it fascinating when I read this. There are also some pull quotes and call outs within the body of the page to break up some of the longer text and to add to the scannability of it. This is another impact story on their website. So a grant was given to Houston Elementary School's first grade class. The teacher realized that if the students could channel their extra energy into something like a bouncy chair, then they would focus better on their learning. So with the grant, the classroom was able to purchase bouncy ball chairs and wobble stools, rocking seats, balance cushions, and things like that for the classroom. So I really love how the website tells you about all these innovative programs that they have that you wouldn't have known about except for the stories. I always kind of assumed that donating money to a school foundation like this would go to, pencils and computers and new desks. But learning that they do all these innovative things within the classroom can really help your site's visitors become more engaged with the cause, and then, donate more to your cause or offer to volunteer and things like that. People want to see the unique way that the funds are used to help them become more engaged with your nonprofit. So another way that you can show the impact of donated funds is through charts and graphics. So this first infographic shows how much money the Crisis Support Fund raised and how it was used. And then in the second infographic, you can see how much money was raised, focus areas that were impacted, like literacy or career readiness, how many grants were awarded, and then what school levels, high school, elementary, et cetera, received them. And then this last chart on the site shows what project the grant funds were used for, what the amount was, and what campus it was awarded to. So just being really transparent about the money that you receive and then how it is used can really help build trust in your nonprofit, because visitors can see exactly how much was raised and then what the money went to. So when you couple this data with the impact stories and the photos, you can get a really clear picture of exactly how and who your donation is helping. All right, let's talk about the user experience on your website. Visitors should be able to understand who you are and what you do within just a few seconds of landing on your site. This may sound really simple, but I think a lot of websites overlook this. To guide users effectively, your website should be really easy to navigate and designed to create a smooth and straightforward experience. So first, you want to make sure that your navigation is easy to use, and that the descriptive text on any of the buttons or the links will help the user finding their way through the site. You want to use compelling headlines, like we said, short sections of text to clarify your message. And you want to have easy to find buttons and calls to actions near the top of the page, which is what the user will see first. Including a prominent donate button in the main navigation is a really good way to have quick access for users to donate, and that will appear on every page of the site. You also want to keep in mind that users may be viewing your site on a mobile device, like we talked about, so you want to be sure that it's optimized well for mobile. Let's talk a little bit more about usability and accessibility. You really want to include this. This is very important because you want to have an inclusive experience for all of your visitors on your site. There are more than 1 billion people worldwide with a disability, so their experience is often really different when they visit a website. There are some simple ways that you can improve the accessibility on your site. So there are things, so like I said, I use WordPress, and there are plugins that you can install for accessibility help that allow higher contrast or to toggle the font size to be a larger font. You can see this right here on the page. This is actually a screenshot from the Austin Ed Fund site, where the user can toggle to see the page in higher contrast. You can actually reverse the color if that's better for them, toggle the font size up and down, etc. So WordPress offers a lot of different plugins and tools like this. They also have accessibility checkers so that you can go in and see if your site is actually set up well for accessibility and that kind of thing. You can add code to the back end of the site that adhere to the WCAG standards, which that just stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which are the global standards for digital accessibility. I don't know if you've heard this kind of news lately, but there have been quite a few companies who have ended up being sued because their website wasn't accessible. So you want to keep that in mind, because as a nonprofit, that could really affect you, because I suppose that you could probably lose your funding as for non-compliance if you don't have accessibility on your website. And aside from all of that, building your website to be accessible shows that you're really tuned in to your visitors, and it shows that you believe in inclusivity, which is also very important. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about mobile first design. So like I said, this has become increasingly important in recent years. More than 60% of all users browse the web exclusively on their mobile device. So it's really a strategic move to design first for mobile. It helps you to reach more people. You're going to rank better in search. It'll deliver a faster, clearer, and more inclusive experience for the user. And I'm not sure if you knew this, but Google actually ranks your website based on the mobile version of your site. So they used to rank it on your desktop version, but now it's on the mobile version of your site. So if you don't have your mobile version of your site optimized with quick load times, then your rankings could suffer, which could make it harder for new supporters to discover you. Designing for mobile first forces you to focus on the essentials like clear content, fast loading, and really simple, intuitive navigation. Designing this way will lead to a better user experience on all screen sizes, even desktops, because you've prioritized clarity and speed from the very beginning. We spoke a little bit about SEO earlier on, and here's a little bit about why it matters so much. So first of all, it increases your visibility and reach. So SEO can help your site show up higher in search engine results so that more people can organically discover your mission without you having to go and then purchase ads. If your nonprofit serves the local community, SEO ensures that you're seen by people searching for nearby support, volunteer opportunities, or events. SEO also fits your budget. Nonprofits also often have tight budgets to adhere to, and SEO can deliver really long-term benefits that don't have any continuous costs like paid advertising does. Investing time in SEO can lead to higher donations, more volunteer signups, and higher event attendance compared to other traditional marketing channels. It also helps to build trust and credibility. So people are more likely to engage with websites that appear at the top of search results because for some reason, higher ranked sites just feel more legitimate. SEO also encourages creating useful and high quality content that can help build authority in your field and educate your audience. So having a website that has more inbound links shows that your site has more authority, and search engines will reward that authority with higher rankings. So an inbound link would be links from other websites that go into your website that direct traffic to you. So for instance, if you had a link from My Community Catalyst to your website, that would be an example of an inbound link. And SEO can also amplify your mission. So well-optimized pages help you communicate your mission, your goals, and your impact clearly to your supporters. It draws in users who align with your cause, like potential donors, volunteers, or collaborators. You'll note in this image, the Austin Ed Fund comes up in the Google search results, and it automatically shows a map of where they are and contact information. And then below you see the other places where they appear, like Amplify Austin and LinkedIn. And then on the right, you see this box that also appears with more information about the Austin Ed Fund. So this is what's called a knowledge graph. And this is not something that you can request for Google to do for you. You can't build it out on your own. This is something that Google creates dynamically if your site is coded in a way that Google can find this information easily. So that's just one more reason for you to use good coding practices and good SEO on your website, because when you do, Google kind of rewards you by giving you this extra block of space on the search results pages. So compelling calls to action. So those are all of your links and buttons on your website, and it's probably one of the most important items that you can have. It helps drive your users to the areas of the site that you want them to visit, which is just another way that you can lead them on this journey through your site. Your calls to actions should be easy to find, consistent, and action-oriented. So action-oriented meaning you want to use clear and specific wording on your buttons and links to help guide your users to act. So you want to avoid terms like click here or learn more, and instead use phrases like ways to give or join the leadership giving circle. So the user knows exactly what they're going to see and what they're going to do when they click. You can see in this image that Austin Ed Fund uses donate to a campus and employee gift matching as calls to action to drive people directly to these different ways that they have to give. You may also want to consider including different types of impact statements like $25 provides school supplies for a child for a month. So that helps you to emotionally connect the user's giving with a tangible result. If you have multiple ways to give on your website, you want to make that clear by having separate links for each type of donation or support portal, just like they do here. You should also use consistent colors for your linking, so users would know that a red button or maybe a red text with a link underline under it is also a link. You want to make your main navigation simple, uncluttered, and easy to use. You'll see here that they have just like 6 very easy top level navigation buttons, and then good descriptive buttons that drop down to show people the different pages of the website. The calls to action are going to guide your users to the engagement that you want them to participate in. So they should be easy to find on every page, especially on the home page and in the main navigation. Okay, so now let's get to the fun stuff, which is how do you convert them now to be advocates for your cause? So we've talked about your website's the biggest tool that you have to inspire action from your supporters. So it should offer multiple meaningful ways for your visitors to get involved. Giving people a variety of clear and accessible pathways to contribute can easily help transform those passive visitors into active advocates. So as I mentioned, you want to give a variety of clear pathways to contribute to your cause. So some of these methods may include online donations, becoming a member. They could figuratively adopt something like a class or a tree or a highway. Many visitors work for a business that does employee matching. So you want to be sure that that's included in your donation form like they have here, as that can increase the amount that each donation raises. The Austin Ed Fund website offers a type of giving circle where if you have a certain donation that you make every year, I believe it is, then you're included in this elite group of givers, and those givers are acknowledged at all of their events and on the website. And don't forget about memorial funds, such as scholarship programs that visitors can donate to raise funds for scholarships or other methods of giving. But also keep in mind that not every visitor to your website actually has money to donate. Some are looking for other ways to help. So you want to offer different ways to become involved as well. Some of those things might include a form to sign up as a volunteer, a newsletter so that visitors can stay informed about upcoming events or maybe new ways that they can get involved. You want to make it easy to view upcoming events where visitors might go and buy a ticket or become a sponsor of that event. You should also give information of how to do giving through a trust or will. And sometimes just having a way for the user to share your message with their network of friends can make the visitor feel that they're helping, even if they can't donate money. It can also be a great way to reach even more potential supporters. So you want to be sure to include social sharing on your website as well. So having various methods of involvement allows all visitors to feel engaged at a level that may work for them. So once you get your visitor on the path through their journey to donate, you want to make the donating as simple as possible. You want to think about your website's user interface and how people are going to interact with your site. And think about how you want to make a donation when you're on a website. I can't even tell you how many times I've gone to fill out a form online that was so long or complicated or asked for so much information that I finally just gave up and abandoned the page. So you want to use forms that are easy to use and to fill out. If possible, break them into shorter forms so they're easier to digest and not quite so visually overwhelming. The Austin Ed Fund uses a donation portal called DonorBox to accept donations. And you can see here, they have it's 3 different pages. So you fill out this form and click next, and then it takes you to this one, and then it takes you to this one. So it makes it really easy and not overwhelming at all to make donations on their site. This one also has pre-filled donation amounts. So it's super easy. You click, or you can put in a custom amount. You can donate to a specific campus. You can put in your company's name and do employee matching. So all of these things are just different ways to direct the money to particular causes or to maybe even increase their donation with employee matching. You can also integrate other features into the forms to encourage users to donate even more. So in this form, which is for a memorial fund, there is a section at the top of the form that says how much has been raised and then what the goal amount is. So you can see this snippet here. It can help encourage users to give just a little bit more, maybe to meet the goal. So I don't know if you're like me, but I like even numbers. So I might be encouraged to donate, $6.08 more to round it up than I might have given before. So just little things like that can help. Also, when you're talking about online donations, you want to definitely make it easy and make it secure. So a very important element of your nonprofit website is having simple, secure, and trustworthy way for people to donate. So if the process is confusing or for some reason it doesn't feel safe, then donors may just abandon your site altogether. These are a few examples of nonprofit donation platforms that you might use. DonorBox is what Austin Ed Fund uses. I've used probably each of these on different websites before. They're all pretty easy to set up. They also include responsive form design, which means that they'll be as easy to use on a mobile website as they are on a desktop computer. All of these integrate easily into a WordPress website, and I would say the majority of them also integrate into all kinds of different CMSs or hand-coded websites. All of these donations also use secure donation methods. So, security builds trust and trust increases donations. So you want to be sure that your website is using SSL encryption to protect users' personal and financial data. SSL just stands for Secure Socket Layer, which basically is just an extra layer of protection that's installed on your website or on the server of the website that keeps information secure when it's being sent from one website to another. So I'm sure you've seen this a dozen times. Basically, when the website has a lock icon, like you see here, and when the website address is using HTTPS instead of just HTTP, that means that SSL is installed and that the website is secure. Also, one thing I wanted to say about those donation platforms is that they also keep track of your donor data so that you can follow up again with your donors later to encourage them to donate again, send out a newsletter of upcoming events and things like that. So that's just another way to stay in touch with previous donors and hopefully get them to engage again. Okay, so let's recap what we've talked about. A well-designed website doesn't just look good, it moves people to care, connect, and contribute. When building your website, first you want to create that connection with your visitors by communicating your purpose, sharing your stories, and then showing how much impact that their donations have made to your mission. This will help you to build that emotional connection with your visitors, which makes them want to engage with your website. Second, you want to guide your visitors with a well-designed website that has clear calls to action and easy to scan and read content. This journey should lead them from awareness of your mission, who you are and what you do, to getting involved with your cause. And third, you want to offer simple and secure ways for people to donate and engage with your nonprofit, thus turning their visit into action. Easy to find links and buttons, descriptive calls to action, and simple donation forms will help the users complete their connection with your nonprofit. So as you move forward, just remember that every design choice that you make on your website is an opportunity to deepen trust with the users and then to inspire action from them. With clarity, compassion, and strategy for your website, it can become one of your nonprofit's most powerful tools for impact. And that's it. So thank you so much for watching. That was a lot, I know, but I think it was all really important. So if you guys have any questions about anything, I'd be happy to take some questions and give some answers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Melissa. You're right. This was a ton of information. I was feverishly writing down notes like, oh, this is all so good.
Sorry, I also tend to talk faster when I'm a little nervous. I'm sorry.
No, you did great, really.
Okay.
I wouldn't have imagined that this was your first webinar if you hadn't said you did excellent. Really.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know that website design, at least for me, it can be a little overwhelming. What is maybe the first thing that nonprofits could focus on in kind of this next step of ensuring that their website is mission driven?
I think the first thing would be to review the website and see what your story actually is. I think a lot of people have written content for their website from one point of view when it actually should be from another. So I think a lot of people want to talk about this is who we are as opposed to this is what we're doing for the community. So I think sometimes people need to kind of flip that story and tell it from a different viewpoint, thinking about who it is that's coming to the site and why we want them to help us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that having maybe trusted donors or even trusted clients, just depending on the work that you do, review your website and give feedback, is that a good place to start, or should that be something that's done internally first? What are your thoughts?
Um, so I think you could do a little bit of both. Honestly, I think internal review would be first because you want to get your messaging right.
Mm,
But having external people look at it can be really helpful to get that outside opinion. So if you do have somebody who you really trust, who maybe has worked with your organization but isn't actively involved with creating the website or the content, definitely have them take a look and say, I'm not really getting a sense of, why I should trust you or why I should donate, and that can help guide what you end up writing for your site.
yeah, yeah. It looks like we have a question in the chat from David, who said, would you suggest dual pages for a nonprofit who operates in 2 different countries?
Well, I guess that depends. Is the process the same? Is the message the same? If you are, do you have one mission in one country and one in another? If it's a language thing, then yes, you should have a multi-language site.
Hi.
But if it's
I
hi,
apologize for interrupting you.
that's okay.
My apologies. My name is David Lopez, and my question goes more involved into that situation. We are a
Okay.
nonprofit who provides free imaging services for the country of Honduras, in which we
Okay.
have a mission in Spanish and mission in English because we operate in both USA and Honduras. So basically, my question goes back into, do I have to create a dual page and dual social media platforms?
As far as the social media platforms, I don't think I can really talk to that because that's not really my forte.
That's okay.
As far as the website, I would say, since I don't know exactly what it is you do specifically, I think that if the missions are slightly different, or if there's a language difference, or if your offerings are different in the 2 countries, then yes, I would probably say have 2 different pages. Is your website split up into Spanish and English, or is it
Yes.
okay? So if you were to do that, then I would probably say yes, just so it's
Ah,
consistent.
so
But
my main problem that I have is that the website is split into 2 different sections, the Spanish speaking one and the English one. And I have divided them into both 2 different categories. The Spanish one is for helping people who are looking to get a appointment scheduled with us. And then the English version is to promote our nonprofit. It is a little bit of a difficult situation because, like I said, I have to be dealing with 2 different sections of a nonprofit world at the same time. And that's more of like the question that I had. Believe me, I have learned so much in this, and the moment we finish this, I'm gonna go apply all of my knowledge to my website. It's been very helpful, and I'm hoping that I can connect with all of the people in here to share ideas and just have a wonderful community spread message.
Yeah. Thank you
great.
so much, David, for joining us.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about this SEO. You talked a little bit about that, and this is something that I have heard, but have not personally engaged with. What would be maybe a kind of easy entry point way to get started for a nonprofit with SEO?
Wow. Okay. So that's a really big question. So the best thing that you can do for SEO is to write your page content really well for people to find you. And something to think about when you're writing it is, okay, if I didn't know anything about this nonprofit and I went to Google to try and find a nonprofit like this, what keywords would I put into the search engine field, right? And so if your words are a school nonprofit like the Austin Ed Fund, you want to use those words in your content, because you can do keyword research. I don't do that kind of SEO, but if you did some keyword research on it to find out what are people searching for when they're looking for this type of nonprofit, that would always help too. And so the way it kind of works is when a search engine goes to your website, it's going to look at a couple of different things. It's going to look at the code that you have behind the page. So that's called metadata. And that's what Google and Bing and those crawlers go and look for. So that's the title of your page that's on the back end, the description for your page, and your focus keyword. Okay, so those are 3 things in the code. On your website, on the page that visitors can see, they're going to look at your page title. So like the title of your page, maybe it says, help fund our scholarship, right? So you want that page title, the content that's on the page, and the namings of links to kind of reflect that page content. So if your headline is donate to our school scholarship, then your button may also say donate to our school scholarship now, as opposed to donate now, right? So you want to use some of those keywords throughout the page. And then when the web crawlers come through, they look at the metadata, the headline, the body text, the links, and they say, oh, okay, this is about school scholarship donations. And then that's how they're going to rank that page. So you want to really think about what it is that you're writing on the page. You can't just shove a whole bunch of keywords into the metadata and expect Google to find you. It's really more about what's on the page. You can also add keywords to every photo that's on your website. And that helps a lot because Google is also an image search engine. So if I have a picture of kids holding the certificate for the scholarship they just won, I want to put that in the metadata for the image. And SEO is a huge practice. This is something that I very little dabble in because it really can be, it's a whole different discipline. But those are some things to think about when you're writing your content as far as what people are going to be searching for and trying to write some of your content around that. You don't want to just make it all keywords either. I mean, you want to write it for your user, but just think about those as you're building the site.
Do you have any good maybe resources or references that people could use as they're kind of thinking about SEO engagement?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the plugins that I use on my websites is called Yoast SEO. It's spelled YOAST. And you can go to their website and you can sign up for training courses. They have videos, just starter information. They're a really good resource to go to when you're starting to think about, what your SEO plan is. And I think that they may also have a pro class or something like that. What am I thinking? A university, like you can go and get certified. So I would definitely start with Yoast.
Okay.
There's so much information out there, but they're kind of one of the leaders in SEO plugins for WordPress.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's super helpful. And we'll share that as well. And
Okay.
like we said, this is a ton of information, and I'm sure there are several more questions. I know I saw someone in the chat was like, there's too many questions to ask. All of our webinars are recorded and they are on our website. So you'll be able to reference this later and go back and kind of look through, and then we'll have Melissa's contact information. So if you want to reach out to her personally, Melissa, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Email is always the best way. Melissa@eekmedia.com. And I'm always on my email. So, and I think that Joanna may have had a question as well.
Yes.
Yes, I have a quick question about the ranking. I was interested in that because when you pull up Seeds of Strength on Google, you find first of all a company that's planting seeds, and then you find Amazon that sells seeds, and then you find some wizards on the coast, which I don't know what that is. But then finally you get to Seeds of Strength in Georgetown. And I'm just wondering, how do I find out what our ranking is, and how do we, I know you've given tips for moving us up, but how do I go about starting to work on that?
Yeah, again, that's not something that I would probably be able to talk very much to. It's a little out of my wheelhouse. I think you could probably find an SEO company that could help you figure those things out. I may have a resource that I could send to you. I would need to check with her and see if that's something that she can do as well. I know she's helped on a few websites I've done. I've added SEO to. But I think what you're doing is the right way to start. You want to go into the search engines and use a few key phrases and see how you come up. And then if you see, oh, I assumed people were searching on, this key phrase, and you don't come up in the first 10 pages, then that may be something that you want to look into and start optimizing your site for those new phrases.
Okay.
But yeah,
All
I
right.
do think an SEO company would be a much better bet for you than me.
Okay.
I wouldn't know where to start with that.
I'll email you my contact, then you can
Okay,
have that person.
absolutely. Yes,
Okay.
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Hey,
Anybody else have
Joanna,
any
this is
questions?
sorry, it's Brian Hernandez. I just wanted to kind of chime in as well. Joanna, another resource for you as well, and all nonprofits is the Google Ads grant. Google offers nonprofits up to $10,000 a month in free keyword search ads and also keyword display ads. All you have to do is go to their website, Google Ads grant, apply for it. The only stipulations that you have to maintain at least a 5% conversion. So at least 5% of the visitors or the people interacting with your keywords or your display ads have to be able to visit your website. So definitely look into that, and we can give you some more information on that as well.
Oh, great. It's Google Ad Grant. Okay.
I
Thank
had no
you.
idea.
Yes, thank you, Brian. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, someone asked, do you help small nonprofits?
I do
With
help
improving-
small nonprofits. Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of nonprofits that I've worked with. The last one was a female fighter pilot who was killed in the line of duty, and her parents set up a memorial scholarship fund. Very small, but they give their scholarships to other female pilots, and it's really rewarding to see that kind of thing. I don't see a lot of that type of thing around, so I do. I like to help with small nonprofits and improving their website.
Any other questions?
For organizations who are just starting to build their websites, are there any, like you mentioned, Squarespace and Wix and stuff, are there any that you love or any that you just hate and like, no, stay away from that one?
So I mean, I'm a huge fan of WordPress. I've been using it for a really long time. I have had some clients recently ask me to help them with their website, one that was in Wix, and I found it a bit of a struggle to get a nice design. I have heard things along the lines of that some of those build your own website type places don't have great SEO features. I can't really speak to that too much. I do know that it was difficult to find when I was on the website trying to help them. So maybe do some research on, you can do a quick ChatGPT or Google search on, which content management system is easiest, best for SEO, that kind of thing, and see what it comes back with. I do know that WordPress has tons of plugins for SEO, which is really helpful. I'm not real sure about the other ones though and how they handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Great question. Anyone else? Melissa, what kind of challenges do you see most often with nonprofit websites?
I think mostly I see that because they're a nonprofit, they feel like they don't have the money to spend on getting their website to a more professional level. So they have, somebody maybe who's not as trained in design or SEO or conversion and that kind of thing. I think that can really hurt them, and it might be better to spend the money up front to have the gains in the back end. And it's not, there are a lot of things that we can do. If I were working with a nonprofit who came to me and said, look, I have a very small budget, but we really need to get something going, I can go in and create a website and start creating some template pages and then train the person on how to build out the rest of the pages using those templates. So there are things that you can do as a nonprofit to get more bang for your buck in that kind of instance. I think some of the nonprofit sites that I've seen look like they really need to rework their sites. And I think that they're doing themselves a disservice by not, investing a little bit more in a professional design. I think that would probably be the biggest thing. But like we talked about, and like Brian just said, if you can get some resources like that from Google to get your site ranked higher, to get more visibility, I think that's a really good low-cost way to get more visitors to your site.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. if we don't have any more questions, we'll end here just about 5 minutes early. Again, we'll send out the webinar will be posted on the website, and I'll send out an email with Melissa's information and some kind of follow-up.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for the opportunity to come and talk to everybody. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you. You both did a great
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. And just a reminder, we do have next month, our webinar is, let me share my screen again. We do have on the first, oh gosh, I can't get my screen to share. The first Thursday in November, we do have another webinar at 11:30. Again, if you'll mark your calendars, it's November 6th. This one will be digital storytelling through technology, design, and media with Rose McBride. All right. Thank you guys again, and we
Awesome.
will see you next month.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.